Hello friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story in which a seemingly normal day at a petting zoo took a wild turn as two unruly kids started causing chaos by harassing animals, cursing at staff, and throwing objects. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled parent getting laughed at the petting zoo. So this just happened today at my work. I work at a petting zoo. There were two kids, 8 and 11, who came in and started terrorizing everyone here. They started saying every curse word under the sun to everyone and harassed my animals by running after them and kicking them. One of my colleagues was taking a phone call, and the kids decided that she was a good target for some reason. This woman cannot take confrontation. They started walking into her while she was sitting down and screaming in her ears. Eventually, she pushed them away and said, "Do you mind? I'm on a phone call." I wasn't present during this, but my colleague came to me distressed about the kids. I went to them and asked them again politely to leave. I asked them before, but they didn't leave. That was enough for the kids to stay out by the gate and scream and kick the fences. We told them to stop multiple times politely, but to no avail. Eventually, they circled around and threw stuff, unknown what it actually was, to my goats and sheep. They came back around and started bad-mouthing us yet again. Another one of my colleagues went to them and asked them to cool down. The profanity that came out of their mouth just shocked me. How could such young kids have such a vocabulary? I walked a little further away while I saw my colleague going for the hose. I knew what he was going to do. While I was inside, I heard the kids scream. Today was quite a hot day, 30 Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit, so I didn't think it was that bad what he did. The colleague came back with a big smile. I asked him what he did, even though I already knew. He said he sprayed them. Now they should be cooled down, he chuckled. They went away. Fast forward 20 minutes later, and the kids come back with the mom. She's so mad that she almost slammed the door into the kid's face. Almost. I'm already thinking, this should be interesting. "Can you explain to me why my son came home crying?" she yelled. Me and my colleagues look at each other and they just start laughing. Even though I didn't laugh, I also found it quite funny. We explained to the mom what happened, and she's not taking it. "You pushed my son to the ground. He's only 8, she yelled as she pointed to my female colleague from earlier. She's dumbfounded because she didn't push him to the ground, but push him away. She explains it. The mom does not believe her. She demonstrated what she did with the colleague, what happened. "That doesn't excuse you for touching my kid," Mommy said. My colleague calmly, but with some panicked voice, explains that her kids kept walking into her while she was on her phone and screaming into her ears. "Still doesn't excuse you." Mommy crossed her arms. My colleague stood up and walked away. She focuses her attention to the other colleague. "And you," she pointed at him. "You destroyed my son's bike while spraying them with water." This colleague does not take BS from anyone and said to her, "Do you want to know why?" "There's no excuse. You destroyed his bike," Mom said. This is where I jump in because I've not been present for both these interactions, but no one talks to my colleagues like this. "So what's broken?" I asked politely. "The battery?" She huffed. I'm already dumbfounded because a battery can take some water. "Does it work?" I asked. "Yes, but," I interrupted her, "so nothing's broken." "That's not the point. He shouldn't have sprayed them with water," Mom said. "I understand your anger, ma'am, but your boys did ask for this," I said, trying to explain what the boys did in order for them to receive a hose. Mom didn't like my reasoning because son dearest can't do anything wrong. I explained that actions have consequences, but nope, this action was uncalled for. I tell her that her kids were really rude to me and my staff. Not only that, but the words they yelled at me and visitors around here were not welcome in here. He would never say that. Our camera will say otherwise. This point, she realizes the cameras. "So you have proof that one of your colleagues attacked my kid and the other one using brute force," the water spraying on them. "I'll get my husband here, and he already has a criminal record, so you better watch your tongue." My male colleague talks down on the woman. Respect is earned, and the way they're behaving, they don't get any respect. "Is that a threat? I'd sue you for damage." Me jumping back in, I recall you said nothing broke. Well, if it does, I know where to find you, pointing at my colleague. This sounds like a threat, and we do not take kindly to threats, my colleague said. Is that a threat? She said. Take that how you will. They go back and forward, not going anywhere and repeating the same stuff over and over. Somewhere in the back and forward, the kid said, "What kind of petting zoo mistreats kids?" Eventually, I jump back in again. "The ones who deserve it." Mom turns her anger to me. "I have a problem with your colleagues, the one who abused my kid and is secretly listening in, and the one who hosed them. It's my problem if you threaten my colleagues. Fire them," the mom said. "Excuse me?" I was surprised by this response. "You heard me. Fire them. They both abused my kids." "Ma'am, please leave. We aren't getting anywhere here, and your attitude towards my colleagues and me is not welcome here. Actions have consequences, do they not?" "Yes, ma'am, and so do yours, so this is your last chance before we call the police." This is the moment she realizes she's not getting anywhere with this. While walking away, she screamed, "I know you're open till 7:30, and my husband will come." None of us corrected her because we're open till 5, and this happened at 4:30. These people don't listen to reason. They listen to the fears of getting canceled. So cancel them before they try to do the same to you. And our second story. I'll take "Don't Be Rude" for $12. I work at an arts theater in a large city. A few days ago, I was working in the call center, and a lady called asking for 2 tickets to see a show that was coming in a few days. Her son was performing in a musical group with the act, and she had been holding off on buying tickets until now. Unfortunately for her, the show is pretty popular, and we didn't have 2 available seats that were next to one another, so I told them that if they wanted to come, they would have to sit apart. This upset her a bit, as she felt that since her kid was playing in the show, she deserved tickets. She asked me if I could shuffle some people around to make room for her and her husband, but I told that I couldn't do that because people had paid to reserve those seats, and I had no power to move them. After she got her frustrations out, she submitted to buying the 2 that I had. They were decent seats. One was just a single row back from the other. Now, since we're a nonprofit organization, we have additional costs on online and phone purchases to provide us a little bit of funding to keep the lights on. She asked me about the costs, and I explained them to her and told her that if she came in person to the box office, she wouldn't have to pay the phone fees. She would save $12, but make that back in paying for parking and gas. She then asked me to waive the fees, and I told her that I couldn't do that. I could, but she was being rude to me, and I didn't feel too inspired to help her save $12. She eventually agreed to come in person, but was worried that the tickets would sell before she got there, and asked me if I could hold them. I told her that as a seller, I could only hold seats for as long as I had someone on the phone to buy them, and that I couldn't promise that they would be here when she arrived, and she let loose on me, telling me that I'm actively trying to stop her from seeing her kid perform. She told me that I was a loser, worthless, needed to get a real job, the usual, and I just apologized and told her that I couldn't do anything but sell her the seats. After this, she demanded that I let her speak to a manager, so I just passed her to the other person working with me to play the role of manager, and my coworker just re-explained everything that I had told her. The mom had hung up before my coworker could finish her sentence. From that point, my coworker and I decided that we were going to do everything in our power to sell those seats before the mom got to the box office, so we made sure to bring up the show to everybody that called and sold them pretty quickly. The mom lost it at the box office when she realized that the show was sold out. I feel bad for my coworkers that had to deal with her, but it made one hell of a fun story for a few days. And this is why you should buy tickets to the popular show that your kid's taking part in before the week of. And our last story. I denied beach access on my property. I've always dreamed of owning property on the beach, and after more than 30 years of saving and investing, I finally bought a place on Puget Sound. My property includes the beach south of my house, and I was looking forward to having a peaceful, serene spot to enjoy. But there's a huge problem. People keep treating my beach as if it's a public park. My house is on a private road, and when you enter the road, there's a very large sign that says no beach access. Despite that, people just walk down the road, head straight for the beach next to my house, and set up picnics, play with their dogs, and hang out like it's a public area. It's incredibly frustrating. I pay a lot in taxes for this beachfront property, and it's mine according to the law, but these people act like it's theirs. I heard that about 20 years ago, the previous owners tried to put up signs to keep people off the beach, but the locals just tore them down. Eventually, the previous owners gave up because they didn't live nearby and couldn't keep enforcing it. Well, now I'm dealing with the same issue. Just the other day, I saw a group of people literally tearing down one of the private property signs. I confronted them and told them they were on private property, but one of them just laughed and said, "We've been using this beach for the last 10 years, and some stupid signs won't stop us from enjoying it." I told them I'd call the police, and they just told me to F off and kept doing what they were doing. This is supposed to be my peaceful retreat, but I feel like I'm constantly fighting off trespassers. Update. After dealing with constant trespassing and disrespect on my private beach, I consulted with a local attorney who specializes in property law, and we quickly got to work. The lawyer confirmed that without a doubt the beach is part of my property and that I had every legal right to enforce my ownership. I also worked with the local authorities, and they agreed to step up patrols in the area, especially when I provided them with evidence of the trespassing and vandalism. Thankfully, I had photos and videos of people tearing down my signs. But here's the kicker. I installed a sturdy fence and some more robust private property signs, this time with legal notices attached, stating that violators would be prosecuted for trespassing. With the lawyer's advice, I also installed security cameras to capture any future incidents. The next time a group tried to tear down my signs, I had them on camera and called the police. This time the police showed up and took things seriously. They confronted the trespassers, and a few fines later, word spread pretty quickly around the community. Now the beach has finally become my private retreat I dreamed of. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.